invitation to the final handshake. The leadership has woven together every conversation to every milestone, with every commitment made under the banner of peace and progress.
The Honorable Prime Minister of Malaysia, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, now awaits the arrival of His Excellency, the Premier of People's Republic of China. This is more than a diplomatic formality. It is a reflection of China's deepening ties with both ASEAN and increasingly the GCC nations. ASEAN now acts a vital bridge between the GCC and China, both of which are deepening their engagement in Southeast Asia. While China remains one of the ASEAN's top trading partners, the GCC nations have become major investors, energy suppliers, and partners in food security, logistics, and Islamic finance. Together, this triangle allows for diversified and stable trade routes, multilateral cooperation in green energy and digital innovation, greater resilience against global economic shifts. And at the 2025 summit, discussions involving GCC and China with ASEAN's emphasis on the joint infrastructure, investment in high-tech industries, financial cooperation, and this trilateral framework helps accelerate ASEAN's ambition to become hub of economic integration and technological advancement.
And as we look toward the upcoming ASEAN GCC China Economic Forum, the optimism runs high. There is clear intent to deepen infrastructure investment, digital economy partnerships, and green energy initiatives. With ASEAN once seen as a rising region, it is now undeniably a central player in the global economic discourse. Now, this is where diplomacy meets design, where policy becomes progress, and where nations do not merely exchange words, but they do exchange hope, opportunity, and ingenuity. Under Malaysia's stewardship, the 46th ASEAN Summit reflects a very huge commitment to bold, inclusive, and forward-looking action. As the city of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, plays host to this confluence of leadership and vision, it also becomes a launchpad for the innovations that will touch industries, uplift communities, and drive Asia's collective rise in a rapidly shifting world. Whether in artificial intelligence, AI, to green energy, trade facilitation, to even digital finance, the spirit of ASEAN is not just to adapt the future, but to co-create it together.
And China's involvement alongside her GCC leaders at the ASEAN summit also highlights a diplomatic balancing act. ASEAN upholds its centrality by engaging both China and the Gulf as partners, not competitors, in addressing challenges like South China Sea stability, regional maritime security, and disaster response and humanitarian coordination. And this inclusive diplomatic posture positions ASEAN as a neutral, convening power in global affairs. The interaction between ASEAN, GCC, and China reflects a growing global South alliance. These regions, rich in culture, resources, and human capital, are showing the world how non-Western cooperation can thrive through mutual respect, sovereignty, and shared development goals. The ASEAN Summit 2025 has become a strategic arena where ASEAN, GCC, and China are not just participating, they are co-creating a new regional order.
Your Highness, delegates, head of states, heads of government, ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment that reflects the ever-deepening ties between ASEAN and one of its most significant dialogue partners. As the Honorable Prime Minister of Malaysia, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, extends a heartfelt welcome to His Excellency, the Head of Government of the People's Republic of China, Premier of the People's Republic of China, His Excellency, Li Chang.
And here comes the motorcade carrying His Excellency, the Premier of People's Republic of China, Li Chang, a statesman who has been central in directing China's domestic reforms and international partnerships. His attendance today is symbolic of China's strategy, important and toward multilateral engagement that spans continents.
With China's presence at the 46th ASEAN Summit, it signifies a huge partnership rooted in mutual respect, strategic cooperation, and a forward-looking agenda. From trade, technology, to cultural exchange and climate action, ASEAN and China continue to chart new paths of collaboration that will benefit to the wider global community. Now, as the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, engages with his Chinese counterpart, we are witnessing a meeting of two regional anchors, nations that understand the value of dialogue, stability, and multilateralism in an increasingly interconnected world. But under Malaysia's chairman and with the Kuala Lumpur Declaration on ASEAN 2045 in focus, this summit becomes not just a convergence of leaders, but a confluence of ideas, values, and vision. A moment indeed where history and future walk side by side.
Relationship between the Malaysian Prime Minister and the Premier of the Republic of China marks not only the strengthening of Malaysia-China bilateral ties, but also China's growing trilateral agreement and engagement with ASEAN and the GCC. With regional cooperation evolving rapidly in the post-pandemic era, this gesture signals a wider alignment of interests from economic integration to security, energy, and digital infrastructure.
As the rhythm of footsteps echo across this dignified evening, the arrival of ASEAN's heads of state to government signals more than protocol. It is actually a powerful reflection of a regional family bound by shared history, mutual respect, and collective resolve. For each leader who steps into the summit brings their voice to the people, the weight of their hopes, and an overall commitment to a future not built on isolation, but in unity. We're welcoming the presence of all ASEAN leaders from all over the world to the mainland, from vibrant metropolis to rich cultural healthlands. Each one a steward of ASEAN's enduring promise of peace, stability, and growth. Now this year, we're opening arms to all the historic milestones, continued integration of whose heads of government joining us today with a spirit of renewal and resilience of a young democracy forging in the ASEAN path.
For ASEAN Summit 2025, Summit reinforced ASEAN's centrality as the core of peace and stability in the region. With all 10 member states and Timor-Leste, the summit showcased strong political will to address regional challenges together, from climate change to maritime security and economic resilience. ASEAN 2025 focused on trade and investment integration, progress toward the ASEAN Economic Community, expansion of infrastructure, green energy, and digital economy partnerships. Deals were signed, new initiatives were launched, investment pipelines strengthened, and high-level dialogues elevated ASEAN's global role. The summit fostered collaboration in food and energy security, sustainable development, and pandemic preparedness, positioning ASEAN as a trusted global player. People-to-people and cultural exchange, those were the initiatives that were introduced to expand educational mobility, tourism recovery, youth, sports and cultural programs, and this strengthens regional identity and promotes deeper social and cultural bonds among ASEAN nations.
And this is a symbol of continuity and coordination between all the leaders, the voice that carries ASEAN's vision between summits to the heartbeat of our regional machinery. And representing the collective strength of the Gulf, the Secretary General of the GCC, a testament to the evolving and enriched ties between Southeast Asia and the Arab world, bound by common values and shared aspirations. Together, this gathering embodies a rare harmony of East and West, tradition and innovation, diplomacy and development. With every dialogue today, plants a seed for tomorrow's transformation. and every handshake reaffirms the bridges we've built and the ones we are yet to cross. Let this be a reflection and to resolve, because in every milestone we mark, every partnership we strengthen, we are shaping the next chapter of regional and the global innovation for our people, for all of us, and for the next generations to come.
And this summit, though formally ASEAN GCC in structure, now takes on a broader scope with China's involvement, a quiet but profound signal that regionalism today cannot exist in silos. ASEAN is China's largest trading partner, and the GCC, rich in energy and capital, is an increasingly vital partner with China. The convergence of these three blocks points to a multipolar global order defined by connectivity, economic diversification, and diplomatic agility. And China's involvement is expected to complement the goals of ASEAN and GCC member states. In fact, trilateral cooperation is already emerging in sectors such as green energy transition, port and maritime development, halal economy, Islamic finance, and digital infrastructure, all of which are focal points of today's summit discussions.
Malaysia as the host extends not just on hospitality, but a massive hope, hoping that the summit becomes a catalyst for a meaningful progress, hoping that policies being discussed today or yesterday in this rooms translate into impactful action, and hoping that the relationships for today become the real foundations of an even more prosperous tomorrow for the future of all of us. From the corridors of the diplomacy to the streets of our cities, to the halls and rural communities, the decision made here will shape lives across ASEAN and beyond, and together we can make it.
And we are now in anticipation as the hall fills with dignitaries and high level officials waiting for the ASEAN GCC China session to officially commence. This is one of the most highly anticipated segments of the summit, bringing together three major regional powers under one strategic platform. The upcoming discussions are expected to deepen economic and political collaboration, enhance interregional connectivity, and lay the groundwork for a more resilient, inclusive, and cooperative Asia Middle East partnership. As delegates take their final positions and the stage is set, this session marks a significant milestone in shaping future global alignments and shared prosperity. And stay with us as we bring you updates from this historic moment.
With the ASEAN Summit 2025, we're focusing to economic integration, the crisis in Myanmar, to the South China Sea disputes, and the external partnerships, where a significant focus was on addressing the impact of various tariff hikes. Now, from the regional supply chains to expanding digital connectivity, and from enhancing educational exchange to pioneering sustainable development, each walk to partnership forging at the summit becomes a cornerstone of tomorrow's breakthrough. And this is where diplomacy meets design, and this is where policy becomes progress, and we are the witnesses for today's event.
And now, in a moment filled with symbolism and significance, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim enters the hall, walking alongside leaders from ASEAN, GCC and China. Their united entrance reflects the growing synergy between these powerful regions, a collective stride toward deeper cooperation, mutual respect, and a shared global vision. The atmosphere is one of the focus and anticipation as these leaders take their places, ready to engage in dialogue that could shape the direction of interregional partnerships for years to come.
And as the Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, engages with the Chinese counterpart, we are witnessing a photography session between all regions, nations that understand The value of dialogue, togetherness, stability, commitment, communication in an increasingly interconnected world where conversations are being met.
As the leaders gather for the official photo session, a powerful symbol of strategic alignment, let's acknowledge that this is more than a ceremonial summit. This is a forum that is quietly shaping the future landscape of a
Excellencies,
global
can we have the
cooperation.
first photo? Allow me to count in 3, 2, 1. And now the ASEAN way, right hand over the left. Allow me to count once again. In 3, 2, 1. Thank you, Your Excellencies.
There is more than ceremonial. It symbolizes solidarity, mutual respect, and shared responsibility among ASEAN member states and their partners.
Now, the ASEAN summit this year marks a defining moment in trade diplomacy. With global economic realignment underway, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim and his counterparts and all leaders are exploring for deeper trade integration, connections to across economy, manufacturing, and regional supply chains. And today, we are witnessing ASEAN.
With all heads of state and government are now here, including China, the summit officially begins. We now await the keynote remarks that will set the tone for this historic trilateral moment.